Over the past year, I've watched more than 2,000 TikToks on overconsumption and related subject matter. I've seen thousands of TikToks at this point of people shopping and hauling, decluttering, restocking, reorganizing, and justifying their shopping. After watching all of these TikToks and as well as spending the last few years really immersed in shopping culture, I've noticed a thing or two. So today, I want to talk about some of the things I've noticed from watching so many of these videos. And most importantly, we'll talk about how these things can impact you. While creators make the content and they are how these patterns are noticeable, the focus of this video is not going to be on a specific creator. We're going to be talking about larger trends and themes. The overall focus is going to be on, the general overarching trends and the how of it all, including how it affects you. And so I think this video may answer questions like why or how am I being influenced by what I'm seeing? Or why do I feel so compelled to shop? What might be influencing that? Of course, the content that we watch isn't the exclusive sole reason why we shop the way we do. I just think it can maybe direct our attention in certain areas or reinforce or support behavior. Just on a personal note, the content I watch does impact my desire for things in the sense that I might not know something exists. Let's talk about the beaded bags. That one has really been on my mind. And I didn't really know these existed. And then I saw them and I went, wow, these are really cute. And I kept thinking about them for weeks after, or for days after, more like. And then I moved on to another thing to cover another topic in another video. And I kind of went, wow, that's cute too. Completely forgetting about the beaded bags. And so my attention is drawn to some of these trends and some of these things. And yeah, some of the content I watch on this channel just doesn't appeal to me. And like, I would never buy that thing. Other things I am more tempted to buy that I never would have known existed if it wasn't for TikTok. I just share that to share that. So let's get into it. And I think this video is going to make more sense as we go through. So the first thing I want to talk about is consumption is taught to us via a cycle. I think the more general or overarching example of this is the behavioral loop around buying and managing what we buy. It often looks like this. First, we have the haul. Somebody excitedly talking about or showing what they're buying. Oh my gosh, I love it. It's so cute, so excited. Then we have the setup or the restock, the putting away, and the overall management of that item. We don't always see this, but sometimes we see this. We might see how these new things get organized or incorporated into daily life. Then we have the declutter, or if not the declutter, other management tools, which might be reorganizing or cleaning or, yeah, I think reorganizing might be the best example of something that is management, but not decluttering. When somebody is over consuming or has a pattern of over consuming, decluttering becomes necessary because we need to declutter in order to sustain that level of consumption. Decluttering becomes the way to manage the overconsumption and owning too much stuff. It is the physical management, but also the mental management because owning a lot of things can have a negative effect or consequence on our mental health and our anxiety or overwhelm or things like that. And the decluttering allows us to continue shopping in the way that we are used to. After this, we get the reset or the refresh. So we've decluttered, we've managed, we've minimized, and then people often start over with a new season or a new interest, or as well a new aesthetic. How many times have you seen somebody buy new things for a new season? We are like at the end of July, we're not even August yet, but there's already the eyes out for fall. So people soon are going to be managing their summer stuff, decluttering it, putting it away, reorganizing it. And then once they do all that decluttering, then they're going to start buying the fall stuff. Or if somebody has an interest change. I was super into straight leg jeans or skinny jeans, and or they had a specific style. You declutter all of that and then you move on to the next thing. And then you shop and shop and shop. You put it all away, restock, reorganize, then you manage, then you declutter, and then you move on to the next thing. This cycle isn't always framed overtly, but we see it via repetition, or it's just like the rhythm becomes familiar. So, this cycle gets taught to us or normalized a few different ways. Number one is just the repetition, the same formulas or the same kinds of content, and seeing these things across niches. When we see things over and over again, it becomes normal or natural and therefore in some ways invisible. We sometimes as well get emotional framing, so the cycle is presented as self-improvement, productivity, or care. Decluttering isn't framed as a consequence of overbuying in many cases. It's something to improve stress, overwhelm, or sometimes talked about like self-care. It's definitely true that decluttering can have positive mental health benefits or, help to reduce the anxiety or the overwhelm. But if you have a behavior or a pattern of overconsumption, each time you declutter, it is framed that way. And so, in order to feel that emotional ease or that resolve, that calm to like fix that feeling or mediate that feeling, you require the declutter. So then we can be looking for that emotional fix or that emotional need. Therefore, decluttering becomes important. If every time overbuying leads to overwhelm, then we can be creating our own problem in this false sense of reality of like, oh, yeah, I need to do this in order to feel better. But the problem isn't necessarily the overwhelm, it's the overbuying. You won't fix that unless you stop overbuying. Like, you will need the declutter to fix that feeling unless you stop buying as much. I hope that makes sense. And as well, sometimes we're not seeing these massive hauls. Sometimes we are seeing the repetition of emotionally charged language, like a little treat here, a little treat there, celebration. It's my birthday, it's my milestone. I needed a pick me up. I love it so much. I'm so excited about this new collection. The emotional storytelling helps to create justifications for why people buy things. And so people can feel justified and like the purchase is a good thing or desirable. All of this is usually packaged in a visual aesthetic. So the cycle itself is packaged beautifully or aesthetically. Viewers get used to these rhythms without fully, in some cases, without fully understanding like the rhythm or the repetition of what they're seeing, or that they're subtly being taught to mimic this behavior. And lastly, the cycle is often brought to us in pieces instead of all at once. The cycle might take weeks, months, or a full year to kind of come to fruition. It's typically not the entire cycle all at once or within a condensed period. And so we might miss this cycle in action as we're seeing it. And if the cycle is normal or natural to us, we don't see it as anything other than normal life or normal online behavior. So if the pieces of the cycle are more disparate, it can just be more difficult to connect them together. Next up is that emotional spending is commonplace. I think one of the more alarming things for me personally, just based on my own experiences, is just how normal emotional spending actually is. Yes, we do see it in ways like the maybe more traditional or understood retail therapy. You go to shopping on bad days or to manage difficult or challenging emotions, but we also see it in positive ways when somebody is looking for something to celebrate.
100K haul. I spoiled myself for hitting 100K, and I'm gonna show you all of the perfumes I got for this haul because I wanted to go crazy on perfumes. I'm like, I deserve it. I want to spoil myself.
These habits are two sides of the same coin because the negative side is more traditionally a coping mechanism where you go to the shopping to deal with difficult emotions or challenging situations. And this might be the only way that you can deal with the stress or the stresses of life is by shopping. But when it happens in a positive way, I think I would qualify this more as like emotionally driven shopping when somebody is shopping while excited or, the milestone, the celebration, the happy. Either way, both of these shopping experiences are like they're still driven by emotion. Spending becomes a way to express or deal with the emotions, or they are reactions to emotions. The key thing for both of these is that neither of them is about the stuff. Like shopping in these scenarios, it's not actually about the thing in question. It is about the emotion or the release or the feeling or the dealing with it. This is important because when you're shopping in a heightened emotional state, positive or negative, your judgment is clouded and your shopping in general is prompted or pushed, driven by your emotions. You are much less critical, rational, and logical in a heightened emotional state. So you may be making choices that you wouldn't ordinarily make. That is the point. And if you go to shopping for like as a coping mechanism, haha, it's all fun and games. People act like, oh, it's just shopping. It's not just shopping. And this can be a very, very destructive habit. And I think this is one of the things that I get worked up so much about when I see it because I have experience with it. Took me years, literal years, to deal with the consequences of this. So, yeah, you can incur debt, you can incur financial hardships, but that's not the end of the line if you do this. You now have to deal with all of that unprocessed shit if you go into it out of a coping strategy or a coping mechanism. So now you have to deal with all of that, all of the shit you didn't deal with, and then you also have to tackle the habit itself and the ingrained behaviors. You don't keep doing it, so you don't have to deal with more emotional fallout later down the line. The thing is, this will catch up with you eventually. You will eventually have to deal with your emotions and the hard stuff. This is destructive because you do not deal with your emotions when it's the negative stuff. And then if we're shopping when it's a more positive emotion, we don't really feel like it's a problem because it's positive or the emotion is positive. We may not fully see or understand or be willing to understand that we are shopping in a heightened emotional state and our judgment may be clouded. So we see TikToks like, oh, I hate this milestone, or I got a promotion today, had a great day, a little treat. And sometimes it's more subtle, like somebody lighting up when they hear about this new collection release and they're super excited. Being excited about something can cloud our judgment, that in and of itself. And shopping can become a mood response and a reaction to circumstance. And you can become a very reactionary person where your emotions kind of take the wheel. Many of these videos aren't actually telling you to do these things, they are showing you. Sometimes we get a bit of the tell, but we often get a bit of the show. We can see this over and over and over again. I have featured some of these videos, and yeah, some of them are overt or they've trying to be like haha joking, but the language of this can really be so subtle. And when it is subtle, we can definitely miss the nods to this or the examples that we're consuming. Whether or not you recognize what you're watching as shopping in an emotionally driven state, it can still affect you and we can internalize these messages or these narratives without ever realizing it. It's not just that emotional shopping exists, it's that we are taught that it is a perfectly acceptable and normal thing to do. Next up is shopping as an identity performance. Online, identity often gets filtered through aesthetics. You're not just you, but like you're a clean girl, wellness girly, dark academia girly. You're in your healing era, which, has a starter pack. You're a biker girl, you're a goth girl, you're a Halloween girl. All these aesthetics come with their own, packages and their own carts, if you will. But which is like maybe the most easy to identify layer of it all. And I think there's been an increasing discussion about all of these little aesthetics online, or not little, I just mean these niche aesthetics or all these kinds of aesthetics online. But there is a bigger or maybe more nuanced discussion about this. Our stuff is quite often viewed as an extension of ourselves and how we want to be seen. So, our water bottle is not just our water bottle, and our shoes are not just shoes. They are a representation or an extension of how you want to be seen and therefore of who you are. This is the well known idea called the extended self and who you are being tied to what you own. When identity is tied to stuff, every purchase starts to feel meaningful. You're not just buying a thing, you are buying a piece of your identity. One of the most recent examples that is just on my mind particularly is the Bath and Body Works Halloween collection. if you identify as a Halloween girly, when something kind of taps into your identity, like the Halloween launch and you being a Halloween person, that collection or that drop can start to feel personal, or that item can start to feel personal because our preferences become part of our identity. I'm that kind of person. I'm a Halloween person, or I'm a X person. So when a body wash or a candle is released, it doesn't just smell good, it can speak to you. It can feel like a must have, not because it's useful, but because it says something about who you are or taps into a core piece of our identity. This is how certain drops or collections start to feel urgent. Not always, of course, but when stuff becomes identity, missing out on that stuff can feel like missing out on yourself. The more niche of a preference or an interest you might have, the more rare it can be to see these things talked about in mainstream, or the more rare a drop is, and the more important the purchase can feel. Because the algorithm pushes content to us that it feels like it would be most appropriate to us or that we can relate to, we're often we're often pushed content that appeals to our interests, right? Or that we find relatable. So you end up seeing those products, those those Halloween launches. If you're a Halloween person, you start seeing those things that align with your taste or your type. Our TikTok preferences and the algorithm can be hyper personalized and evolve as our interests evolve as well, which means that you are constantly being shown things that tap into your interests and can feel like you. And so stuff can be the gateway to identity, or buying things becomes the proof of who we are. TikTok and consumer culture has overwhelmingly pushed us this idea that our stuff is who we are. Our stuff is our identity, which means the stuff we buy takes on a whole new life of importance. And we want our stuff to align with how we feel. There is something validating about that. And there are definitely specific cases where it can be more meaningful and more validating. I'm not saying it doesn't matter or stuff cannot and has no place in interacting with our identity. But if we become too reliant on this, then we can be susceptible to all of the things that come our way when we over identify with our stuff. Next up is consumption and community. And consumption is how many people participate in community. Some online communities are built around shopping. It's not just that people shop, it's that shopping is the way into the community and participating in said community. You can see it in so many communities. Uh, the one that I'm dabbling in now, we're at the research stage. We'll see where this goes. Sneakers, sneakerheads, fashion and beauty, and golf. Golf. I don't know why I got so heated about that. Books, gaming, movies, like whatever your niche interest is, there's a community around that. And consumption can be some of the main ways to engage with the community. There are certain communities that this is more true for than others, and I'm not involved in every community. This makes a level of sense because I would imagine that if you own a lot of things, you have great interest in it. And so if you have great interest in something, you want to talk to other people with that interest. But as well, not every community is strictly about consumer goods, and you also don't necessarily need something to participate in. Like, let's talk books or golf. You could read books completely for free, and arguably, golf and books are about doing the thing and not about buying the things. But even these communities can become about the buying instead of the doing. Or makeup has very much evolved from using the makeup to buying the makeup as at least a feature or central part of the community. The way to participate in these communities is by buying the newest things, keeping up on the newest launches, sharing your collection, sharing your hauls, what you've tried, what you want to buy next. This is how you join in on the conversation. Do you want it? Do you like, why don't you want it? Are you going to buy it? And community here doesn't just mean TikTok creators. Yes, it does include creators to an extent on a platform, Instagram or YouTube, TikTok, but it also extends to Facebook groups or Reddit forums, comments. Like real community is happening quite often in the discussion. The shared experience quite often becomes a form of social currency. If you don't have the newest drop or the newest favorite, or you just like didn't hear about this newest thing, what do you have to talk about? And so the fear may not just be, oh, missing the product, but being left out altogether, no longer being in this community, like missing the connection. And each community has their own rituals. Like the beauty community has Sephora VIB sale, Bath and Body Works has a semi-annual sale. These are moments to connect with other people about and bond over. If you are in the beauty community, you know how crazy people can get over the Sephora VIP sale.
Sephora sell this, Sephora sell that. Get yourself a Dyson. When else is a Dyson Airwrap gonna be freaking 20% off?
And then not buying stuff can feel like you're being excluded, or you can feel excluded from the conversation. I mean, this has evolved slowly over time for a few reasons. One, because creators are incentivized to show new things because they make money on these things. And then also in some cases, people are sent PR. And I also hear like the beauty community is just the most relevant to me because that's probably the community that I was the most involved in. And so they get PR and they know that like their subscribers want to hear the stuff on the latest things. So if you as a creator aren't up and up on the latest things, your subscribers will go elsewhere, but also these are the videos that get the best engagement, the best interaction. And then also shopping brings pleasure. Shopping is pleasurable. And then creators on these platforms also reinforce this pleasure and kind of promote this content over others. And so creators are rewarded by the engagement, by the money, the affiliate link for making the content that encourages the buying. We can't just fault creators for that because there is a community of people who also feel this way, who also enjoy shopping and want to see the newest releases. This is not on the like exclusively on the creator's shoulders at all. And one of the biggest comments in the beauty space I hear time and time again is the like, why don't influencers, why don't creators make tutorials anymore? Why, if you're a creator, you know tutorials don't perform. So why would you take your time to make a tutorial when they don't perform? You get I don't know, like it seems like there's a very vocal minority that really wants the tutorials, but the people don't want to watch the tutorials. And money's not being made in the tutorials. Money's being made with the content that people want to watch, which I can't fault the creator for that. Creators do shape community expectations, and a lot of the conversation is happening because of the content that creators make. Like the community aspect is happening in the comments of those videos. But this is, again, not just like creators dictating the pace of content and what people watch, because also what people watches reinforces what gets made, right? Like if nobody's watching the tutorials, then the tutorials are going to peter off over time, and more of the things that people are watching are going to continue to be made. But there are platforms like Reddit where creators are not a central focus and it's really about the community and the people. There, you are seeing really similar things play out. We see similar dynamics. A lot of people sharing their hauls and what they got, excitedly talking about new releases and what's coming up, things like that. All of this has consequences because it shapes what we think is normal. It can warp our sense of enoughness too. It can make not shopping feel like a disconnect. Over time, spending becomes not just habitual, but social. When community becomes a place where shopping is a shared language, it stops feeling like shopping. It can feel like bonding or like connection or even identity. And that makes it so much harder to question. You don't necessarily see it as consumption, you see it as being part of something. As I mentioned, I was in the beauty community for many years and I was influenced by what I was seeing because I was so excited about all of this stuff. I wanted to have it too. I wanted to know what it was like to buy these things, but then I was watching so much content of people talking about things I didn't have so excitedly, and that excitement rubbed off on me. And I wanted to be a part of this community so bad. I didn't stop to think about what was normal or what wasn't normal. And I didn't blink an eye at my growing makeup collection because that was what I was seeing around me. Yes, I need to have, and I do have some some ownership over my consuming habits and preferences, and I do have control, but we can't negate the influence of what we consume in the communities we are part of and the kinds of habits and behaviors the communities we are part of normalize and accept and promote. And the deeper that we are in consumption based communities, and the deeper we are into consumption based communities, the harder it can be to recognize how much they can shape us. The point of that segment wasn't to vilify a specific community or to vilify commodity or consumer based communities. It's that certain levels of shopping are normalized via these communities. And when we are in them, we may not notice how abnormal or hurtful shopping like that can be for us. Next up, is that we are quite often sold aspiration and not stuff. But when we are sold stuff, it is often through the form of aesthetics. And both of these things reinforce each other. Aspiration can be a driving force for why we're interested in a specific product or, an item or why we want to buy something. Creators pitch their lives as aspirational. So, what we're being pitched is not the thing, but the lifestyle itself, or a feeling, or what that item represents. You're not being sold a blender. You're not being sold a candle or a diffuser or a workout set or ice molds or fridge organizing supplies or Labubus or TJ Maxx purses or Stanley cups. I could go on. What we're being pitched, or the thing that's kind of doing us the selling, is the lifestyle behind it and what that thing represents. They're not just showing up a product or doing a routine, they're inviting you into a highly specific version or definition of life. It's the lifestyle that we are buying into. And it's the lifestyle that is being sold via this stuff. Buy this to live like that. Buy this to be that. And sometimes it's like, like the that girl kind of thing, right? Like that was one of the it girl, the that girl made a video on that last year. Sometimes it's like that, but sometimes it's like wellness girly stuff. Or sometimes it's you want to be an organized person. The key example of this for me is the ice molds and the fridge organizers. You want to be an organized person? Go buy the fridge organizers. Transform your life via your stuff. So you're not trying to just organize your space. You want to be the kind of person with that organized space or who lives in that space. You see these day in the life videos or these unboxing videos or these scenarios of these Amazon sellers showing you their beautiful homes, which are backdrops, by the way. And they're pitching you these scenarios of working outside or, day in the life, and their home looks so put together. You want to have a relaxing or a calming home, or you want to be organized. You see these women as successful or wealthy, and you want a slice of that. For viewers, this can create this craving for change or being something different by buying something different, which elevates the importance of the thing. And this makes the purchase feel deeper than what it actually is. We buy the dream, we buy the promise, we buy the transformation, we buy who we think we want to be. And then when it doesn't work out because you're not that person, you're not that influencer, you don't live that life. And when the thing arrives and the change doesn't come with it, the cycle can start over again. Aesthetics deliver aspiration visually. Aesthetics make aspiration tangible. Aspiration is the emotional or psychological desire, and the aesthetic is the packaging it comes in. The vibe, the look, the color palette, the lighting, all of that gives form to a feeling. You don't just want a cozy romantic home to, relax in. What you want, or what you're being told to get that, is that knotted knit blanket for $29.99 on Amazon. That soft lighting also for $29.99 on Amazon. Those decals for your wall, or you know what I mean? That is how you get it. Aspirational living needs a visual language, and aesthetics is that language. Aesthetics and aspiration reinforce each other by working in tandem to shape not what we want, but who we think we could be if we had that thing. Aesthetic repetition normalizes aspiration. Next up is that overconsumption is disguised as self improvement. This is not always the case, kind of like everything on here. We're not seeing this in every video. These are just kind of different examples or different little facets of what can contribute to overconsumption or shopping or why we buy. One of the most subtle and manipulative examples of overconsumption is when it hides behind the language of self betterment. And again, this is kind of going into what we were saying before. Online, we're constantly told that a better version of you is out there and it's purchasable. Want to be more organized? Buy this planner. Want to have the whitest teeth of your life? Get this thing. We want to not bloat? Go castor oil your stomach. The science behind that is weak at best. You want to be healthier? Buy these supplements. Want to feel confident? Buy that dress, buy that makeup, go do this thing with your hair. Buy the $800 Dyson. You'll change your hair life forever. This framing works because it appeals to a transformation and it appeals to growth. It appeals to the very idea, buy something different and you'll be different. It is the shortcut to the work. And it's something that we can do today, right now. It's much easier to just buy the thing or to develop habits and behaviors. All of this appeals to a part of us that want to be better or feel better or do better. This can be why it's so hard to recognize because, like, who can argue with self-improvement? Like, why is that so bad? It sounds positive and productive and responsible, and we can justify dropping obscene amounts of money on being better. We do see a lot of this at the beginning of the year, the new year, new me, sometimes in like the mid-year reset kind of thing. Or if somebody is embarking on a journey of some kind, a lot of people the first thing they do is to buy the thing. It's like a tangible step that they can take today to, confirm how they're feeling and to, in some ways it can be empowering to like buy that thing. Like, I'm doing something good for myself. I'm taking an action. There's also this related idea that buying something will motivate you to do something or it'll motivate change. An example that sticks out in my mind is in my book talk video, I showed a video of somebody who went to the bookstore because she was in a reading slump and she just kind of said, go buy the book to get out of the reading slump. You want to be more productive, go buy a journal and some stickers. This messaging hijacks two key psychological triggers. Number one, insecurity. It subtly tells you that you're not good enough as you are. You could be more. You could be more organized. You could be more confident, more fit if you just had the right thing. And the reason why you're not where you want to be is because you don't have the right things. The second is hope. It dangles the idea that with the right product, you can become the person you want to be or achieve the change you want to achieve. And the item becomes a symbol of who you're trying to become. And shopping becomes a form of self-aspiration. So you're not just shopping, you're working on yourself. You're collecting tools that can be useful for transformation, but are you doing the work of the transformation itself? And are your expectations of such a transformation actually realistic? Sometimes we give too much power to things and not enough power to ourselves. This messaging creates confusion over what growth actually looks like and promotes the idea that self-improvement comes by buying things and not by doing things. This happens because affiliate links, people make money off of it. And yeah, there are tools of the trade that are necessary in some cases to do the thing, but quite often the change happens because of you, because of your habits and the work that you do. And sometimes this message is so ingrained we can feel like we can't make a change without buying a thing first. Last up is that algorithms reward repetition and consistency. Social media pushes what performs best, plain and simple. Social media apps want you to stay on there as long as possible, and the way to get you to stay on there as long as possible is to give you the things that they think that you want to see. This makes a level of sense, and we can't fault these platforms for doing that. This is just like a really simple fact or a really simple element of things that shapes so much of what we see. So, not only are creators rewarded for being consistent and posting consistently, but it can become a positively reinforcing loop, which can push people into a really niche and like specific repetitive type of content because that performs the best. So, the same videos get made over and over again, they get repeated. We see the same routines, the same products, the same style of videos, and we might just get little seasonal swaps or twists. It also makes sense for creators to keep doing the things that are working because they want to be successful. They want their channels to grow. They want more subscribers. They want more views. They want more money. They want more engagement. They want more comments. So, creators are encouraged over time to create really similar and repetitive content. And then those videos get pushed on to the subscriber. And I can't, I don't think I can highlight enough how much YouTube specifically funnels people into specific content, and then people can be trapped there because one toe out of line from that content can have negative consequences. People don't want to watch it, or YouTube doesn't push it out as much because that's not the kind of content that does well. There are similar but different things at play for Instagram and TikTok too. And it's not just like this happening on an individual level, but there are specific kinds of videos that do well overall as well. There are certain things that are highly clickable or highly engaging to the audience. And so for the viewer, what this means is seeing the same or similar videos posted over and over again. Being constantly exposed to the same or similar products, the same or similar habits. And this has nothing to do with those habits or those products or whatever being good or bad or healthy or unhealthy, but it is what is performing and arguably what's popular. And then the side effect of that is that all of this repetition can make excess feel normal. The more you see it, the harder it can be to notice that it's not normal or even like notice that it's happening at all. It is honestly kind of crazy how much the algorithm show like influences the kind of content that we see. And when you have thousands, if not millions of accounts kind of being funneled towards specific kinds of content, depending on the niche, it can create a lot of normalcy or norms within specific communities. So, to conclude, shopping isn't evil, but what I wanted to do is to help you maybe pinpoint some things that you might not see in content, or maybe you've noticed it and maybe I've named something, or maybe this video is just helping you be a little bit more aware, a little bit more strategic, more aware, noticing the patterns of or noticing the patterns of the things in which you are consuming. And I think what I would like to close on is for you to think about the content you're watching. And if you feel like it has an overall net positive or net negative effect on you, your consuming habits, your financial habits, your mental health, your physical health, all of that. That's it for me. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I hope to see you again around here soon for a new video.